All right, I suppose it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. Oh, pre-order my book in the description below. It's time to talk about the most recent happening in the Nintendo circles. The release of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door DEMAKE. The lesser version of the iconic GameCube game from 2004, developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo. Like one of the most overrated games of all time, by the way. Like I grew up with this game. I liked it a lot. I have a lot of fond memories with it. I really appreciated the game for what it was at the time, but I really, really detest the audience this game has developed over the years. Right? I've talked about this before, but I really don't appreciate the people who worship this game while condemning other similar games like it. Like most particularly Mario and Luigi, but I think also the Paper Mario sequels have been demonized as just being completely out of touch with what fans actually want, when in reality, all of them have been very successful and have done a lot of things in their own ways, right? Paper Mario is not an IP that has been stagnant. And some people really deeply believe that like the franchise peaked with the Thousand Year Door, and that simply isn't true. All right, even without taking the remake into account, the original release has a ton of issues. Relatively short, uninspired chapters. Not all that interesting writing. Uh, Uninteresting characters. Padding is the thing I noticed. There's a lot of things wrong with this release. Okay, to the point where like I'm playing this game, and I've always preferred Paper Mario 64 over this, right? But like I'm playing this game and I'm kind of realizing that like yeah, I think Color Splash was better than this. I think Origami King was better than this. There are a bunch of Mario and Luigi games that are better than this. Like the Thousand Year Door is not like the untouchable masterpiece that people want you to think it is. Like the instant you master Super Guard and gain the ability to block most attacks in the game, like the game has been trivialized, right? Like there's nothing left. And even the things that you really enjoy about the game, the creativity of like the glitz bit, for example, like you get bogged down by like the issues with it. Like why exactly are there 20 fights? Like why exactly is there not build up to each fight? Why can't we learn more about all the characters? Like why exactly is it structured this way? And like the glitch bit is my favorite area in the game, but like I did feel like with having 20 fights, it was like padded. Like when you compare it to something like No More Heroes, which has 10 fights, right? Like you have like a much more concise experience. You get the same general idea, and yet like uh it is so much longer and is so much more satisfying, right? I find myself like really surprised going through like the glitch bit again, like realizing that like wow, all you're doing is just fighting minor enemies. And later on, you fight like stronger enemies, but at that point, it's just like, okay, let's just get to the champion, let's get to the plot. And the plot is interesting, right? The plot of the Glitzbit is the most interesting in the game, I feel like. But going through this area, like doing the same things over and over again, interacting with the same characters, it does get old. And there's a reason why I dropped this game years and years and years ago, is that the game simply doesn't live up to its reputation, right? I 100% of this game a long time ago and never really went back to it. I've done a couple of playthroughs here and there, but like the long and short of it, like every single time, is that like I came away with like, yeah, this game is good. It is legit fun to play. There are positive aspects about it, but calling it one of the best of all time, one of the best games on GameCube, the best Paper Mario game, the best Mario RPG, I don't think so, right? Like, I think there are better alternatives, including the legendary, iconic original, right? Like, I don't think the Thousand Year Door lives up to the hype to begin with, right? So when I saw the sequel, right? Well, the sequel. When I saw the remake, right, I was immediately disappointed because first of all, like you remade the Thousand Year Door when you could have spent that time and development resources remaking the original game, which desperately needed an overhaul more than the Thousand Year Door, right? The mechanics are kind of iffy. There's a lot of glitches, right? It was their first time making this kind of game. Like Paper Mario 1 could have benefited more from a remake than the Thousand Year Door could have. But no, we had to go for like the more popular fan entry with the Thousand Year Door. We gotta have like better visuals and reorchestrated music, and yeah, it all looks terrible. Like it's shocking how low quality it is. Like the models don't look good. The animation is off. Things happen too quickly. There's no pacing. right? Like there are some fun additions, like in the Glitz bit, you now have the option to do expedition matches, so you can fight anybody you want, so you don't have to do another playthrough if you want to go through them again. But like, why would you want to do that exactly? It's nice that it's there for the novelty, but at the same time, like, all the changes to the game feel like superfluous, right? They have a guy in every town who teaches you how action commands work. Like, okay, but I didn't need that when I was 8. So like, why would I need it now? Like, they have some extra bosses, but like, you know, when the rest of the game just isn't that much of an upgrade, like I don't know if I would recommend going through this version of the game just for the extra bosses, right? Like it feels like this is something that only like super hardcore fans are gonna pick up, right? There are hardcore fans for the Thousand Year Door. Like they're just legions of autism regarding this game. But like when you look at how it's doing like practically, when you look at like just how well this remake is doing. Like, I don't necessarily think this is going to be like seen as a particularly well made or interesting remake because people are already noticing the redone soundtracks are garbage. Straight garbage. The instant I figured out how to do it, I went to the badge shop and got the GameCube badge and equipped that thing immediately. And I got those incredible like original OST, which still holds up to this day. I was shocked by how much I enjoyed the original OST, which really is one of the all-time greats. But like, uh, I did that. I just found myself just playing this game, just marveling at just like, yeah, it's just not as good as the original. The localization is worse, jokes don't land, like certain iconic scenes are adjusted. Like I don't see this as being the definitive version of the game the way I see like Link's Awakening on Switch as being the definitive version, right? The same way I see that some of these Kirby remakes have been the definitive version. Like they had an opportunity to really fix the problems with Thousand Year Door, to really iron out the kinks and really make something like really cool, and they botched it to a certain extent. Now, is the game terrible? No. Like that's obviously not the case. But when you look at just how much people are complaining about certain things, when you look at like the real like controversies surrounding like some decisions made here, when you listen to the music and how bad it is, like I don't think there's any denying this. Like they did not put all that effort into this re-release. Like I did not think this was really well made. I didn't think it made a lot of notable changes. I don't think it really needed to exist, honestly. Like they did a lot less with Pikmin 1, but honestly, I felt that was a much better game overall. Like, I just don't see the point in remaking a game like this. Like, I would have much preferred a straight up re-release on the eShop simply to satiate fans until the next Paper Mario game is released. There was no reason to spend development time and resources developing a remake that did not need to exist.